In this tale, we'll be uncovering a story whispered through generations in Japan. This story has laid the very foundation for modern horror. And the tale is the tale of Nihon Sandai Kaden, or as it is famously known as Japan's three great ghost stories, which is made up of Oiwa from the Yotsuya ghost story, Okiku from the Dish Mansion, and Atsuyu from the Peony Lantern. Welcome to my channel where horror is written. Like this story, share it with another person, and subscribe. Before the next page turns, let's dive in. Story 1. The Peony Lantern. Long ago, a widower named Ogiwara Shinju lived in loneliness. On the first night of Oben, the festival of the dead, he met a beautiful woman named Atsuyu, carrying a lantern decorated with peonies. Enchanted, Ogiwara welcomed her into his home, and by night's end, she had become his lover. Every evening after she returned, every morning she disappeared. Ogiwara abandoned his duties, his friends, his world living only for her visits. But one night, a neighbor heard laughter through Ogiwara's walls. Curious, he peeked through a crack and froze. Ogiwara was not with a woman. He was in the skeletal arms of a corpse, the peony lantern glowing beside it. Terrified, the neighbor warned Ogiwara and led him to a temple. There, Ogiwara discovered Atsuyu's grave, the very lantern resting on her headstone. The priest gave him a protective charm, sealing his house against her spirit. Safe at last, but heartbroken, Ogiwara wasted away. One night, drunk and longing, he wandered back to her grave. Atsuyu appeared. Smiling, she beckoned him into her embrace. Days later, the priest opened her coffin. Inside, Ogiwara lay dead, clutched forever in her bony arms. Never to see another daylight again, but Atsuyu wasn't the only restless soul. Some spirits don't lure you with love, they haunt you with vengeance. And one of the most chilling tales begins not with passion, but with a single missing plate. Which brings us to the second Nihon Sandai Kaden, the Dish Mansion. At Himeji Castle lived a servant named Okiku. She cared for her lord's greatest treasures, 10 priceless plates. She was beautiful, and a samurai retainer named Oyama desired her. But she rejected him. Again and again, his lust turned to rage. One night, he hid a plate and summoned her. Count them, he sneered. Okiku's hands trembled as she laid them out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, always one short. Oyama offered her a way out, become his mistress, and no one would know. Okiku refused. Enraged, he beat her and dangled her over the castle well. Still, she resisted, so he struck her down and threw her body into the darkness below. Not long after, her ghost rose from the well. Each night, her voice echoed through the halls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And when she reached 9, her scream shattered the night. Those who heard it fell ill. Those who heard her finished the count. Never survived. At last, a priest confronted her. As she reached 9, he shouted 10. For the first time, her spirit fell silent, and finally, she found peace. But while Okiku's spirit could finally be calmed, not every ghost can be silenced. Some are too filled with rage, too poisoned by betrayal. And that brings us to the darkest of the three Oiwa, whose curse destroyed everything in its path. The Yotsuya ghost story. This is the most famous and the darkest of them all. In Edo period, Japan lived a samurai named Tamiya Iemon. Though married to a kind woman named Oiwa, he was a man consumed by greed, cowardice, and ambition. He was not only a failed samurai, but a criminal, having already stolen from his employer. When Oiwa's father, Yotsuya Salmon, discovered Iemon's dishonorable deeds, he confronted him. Salmon demanded that Iemon divorce his daughter, refusing to let her remain with a man of such poor character. But Iemon's pride and rage boiled over. Drawing his sword, he cut Salmon down in cold blood. He then returned to Oiwa with a fabricated tale that bandits had murdered her father on the road, and that he, her husband, would avenge him. Oiwa, grieving, believed the lie. For a time, Oiwa remained devoted to Eamon, and not long after, she gave birth to their child. But their life was one of hardship, and Eamon grew resentful of his sickly wife and their poverty. Next door lived a wealthy doctor named Kihei, who had a granddaughter named had fallen in love with Eamon despite his marriage, and Kihei saw an opportunity. He desired a connection with samurai blood and believed that marrying to Eamon would elevate his family. To make this possible, Kihei secretly gave Oiwa medicine under the guise of treatment for her poor health. In truth, it was poison. Day by day, Oiwa's body decayed. Her face blistered, twisted, and disfigured. Her once beautiful hair fell out in clumps. Weak and bedridden, she barely recognized herself. But Eamon did not care for her suffering. Disgusted by her appearance and tempted by beauty and wealth, he resolved to rid himself of Oiwa. He even pawned off her belongings, including the clothes of their child, so he could afford the gifts needed to woo. To rid himself of Oiwa without blame, Eamon enlisted the help of a companion named Takuetsu, instructing him to seduce Oiwa so she could be accused of adultery. One night, Takuetsu entered Oiwa's chamber. But when he saw her scarred, swollen face and broken body, he was overcome with pity and horror at Eamon's cruelty. Instead of touching her, he confessed everything. He told Oiwa of the poison, of Eamon's betrayal, and of his plot to discard her for him. At first, Oiwa refused to believe it, but then Takuetsu handed her a mirror. In its reflection, she saw her ruined face for the first time. Her skin stretched, her eye drooped grotesquely, her beauty gone. Trembling, she reached for her hair to cover her face, but clumps of it tore free in her hands, blood dripping from the scalp. Driven into despair and madness, Oiwa seized a blade. With her final strength, she slit her throat, cursing Eamon with her dying breath, vowing vengeance even from beyond the grave. Not long after, Eamon's servant Kohei stumbled upon Oiwa's body. Disgusted by his master's callousness, he confronted Eamon. Fearing Kohei would expose him, Eamon murdered him as well, nailing both corpses, Oiwa and Kohei, to a wooden door and dumping it into a river to conceal his crimes. To deflect suspicion, he spread lies, claiming Oiwa and Kohei had been lovers who fled in disgrace. With his wife and servant gone, Eamon pressed forward with his plan. He secured his marriage to the granddaughter of Kihei. The families gathered, the wedding arranged, and Eamon believed himself finally free of the past. But the past was not finished with him. On his wedding night, as he approached his new bride, he lifted her veil and froze. The face beneath was not Eam's, it was Oiwa's ruined, blooded visage, her dead eyes staring back at him. In a panic, Eamon struck out with his sword, slashing at the apparition only to find that it was he had butchered. His new wife lay dead at his feet. Horrified, Eamon fled to the home of Kihei, hoping for help. But when he entered, he was confronted by yet another familiar figure, Kohei, his slain servant. Believing the ghost to be real, Eamon attacked in desperation, only to realize too late that he had slain Kihei himself. From that moment onward, Eamon's world collapsed. No matter where he ran, Oiwa's ghost followed. Her disfigured face appeared in lantern flames, in shadows, in every reflective surface. At night, she crept into his dreams. By day, she lingered at his side. He could not eat, could not sleep, could not breathe without sensing her presence. Driven to madness, Eamon fled into the mountains, hiding in a remote hut. But even there, Oiwa haunted him. Sometimes she appeared smiling, her ruined face twisted in mockery. Sometimes she wept, calling his name with a voice that seemed both human and inhuman. Sometimes he woke to feel her corpse's weight pressed against him in the dark. Eamon could no longer tell dream from reality. In his desperation, he struck out at phantoms, at shadows, at nothing, each time spilling the blood of someone who crossed his path. In the end, his crimes caught up to him. Accounts vary. Some say he was hunted down and killed by enemies seeking justice. Others that he ended his own life in madness. But one thing is certain, Oiwa's curse destroyed him completely. Unlike Atsuyu or Okiku, Oiwa's ghost was never gentle, never forgiving. She became an Onryo, a vengeful spirit bound to this world until her wrath was spent. Her story endures not just as horror, but as a warning that betrayal and cruelty can summon a vengeance more terrifying than death itself. And there you have it, Japan's 3 great ghost stories, Otsuyu, Okiko, and Oiwa. They're more than horror, they're about love, betrayal, obsession, and revenge. Proof that the scariest ghosts don't just hide in the dark. Sometimes they're born from the way people treat each other. So next time you lie, cheat, or break someone's heart, remember, you might not just spark drama. You might spark a ghost story of your own. And see you next time on the diary where horror is written. Like, share, comment, and subscribe before the next page turns. Bye!